told you I found you a perfect match. Chosen by science, but you had to marry them right this second. You would tell me, well, that sounds pretty whack. And I would add, you have 8 weeks to know if you really love them. You just got married at first sight. Jason and Aysha gonna tell you wrong from right. Are all these couples just disasters waiting to happen? Imagine if one of them could be a perfect match.
Welcome to A Perfect Match, where we will be covering Married at First Sight, Season 17, Episode 6. I am one of your hosts, Jason Reed. With me, as always, a woman who has never had to get extensions surgically removed from her head, Aysha Welch. Aysha, how's it going?
Hello, I'm doing wonderful. And for the record, these are locks, okay? It's all me. I grew this out of my scalp, okay?
Are you sure those aren't dreads?
They are not dreads.
Okay.
Locks. Don't have the lock community after you, Jason. Please.
My bad.
Dreads has such a negative connotation. They seem more, if you call them dreads, it's more accidental. So maybe that's why Emily felt it was fitting. Yeah. But the intentional locking of your hair, that's why these are locks. Just want to set the record straight.
It's very important. We all needed to know. So thank you very much.
Yeah. And Jason, over or under, did you, for Thanksgiving, did you have 10 chicken fingers? Over or under?
Listen, I mean, Thanksgiving, I get with the season Thanksgiving. I have turkey fingers with my Thanksgiving. And it was under 10. Okay, it was under.
Okay, good. Greens, dressing.
There were green things consumed, but not greens. I had like peas.
Okay.
I had corn.
Good.
I had some vegetable content because I was forced to, because my mom was making dinner and she forced me to eat vegetables. So yes, things were consumed other than chicken fingers this Thanksgiving.
Okay. Yeah, I had a lot of I have this baked bean dish that my dad used to make when we were growing up, and so I've kind of adopted it and made it my own. I actually haven't had it from him made in a while, but I'm like, I just make my own, and he likes it when I make it. So
Chef Welch.
Right. Exactly. But I did go spend the day with my boyfriend's family, so that was a fun time meeting
very nice.
Everybody. They were very kind and welcoming and welcomed me with open arms.
That's fantastic. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving out there for those that do celebrate. We had a day full of eating, full of talking about emotions, like we did here on this episode of Married at First Sight.
Right. Not the best episode of the season.
No, it was a little boring. But the whole episode was like, man, these guys, all these people, they seem like they're gonna make it. These kids might be all right. And then at the very end, they're like, nope, just hit you over the head. Like, you thought everything was okay? No,
I mean, yeah. If you stop the episode maybe like an hour and 15 minutes in, you probably thought this was a very pleasant thing.
If you stop the episode at like, according to my DVR, at like an hour 30 exactly, you wouldn't even get that Lord Orion convo.
They're like, oh, sunset. I turned my recording off. Yeah. I moved on.
Well, that's an hour 30. That's it. I don't watch After Party. That's an hour 30 exactly. Just turn it off.
They love doing that this season. I'm like, when does the episode actually end?
Yeah. Also, I mean, you get like, for my DVR, I get like 2 whole minutes of what's that show? Was it like Castle or something? I get 2 whole minutes of that show before Married at First Sight on my DVR every. I always say like, and that's your 2 minutes of Castle as soon as it goes off into Married at First Sight. So weird.
I'm so used to finishing Ghosts when I start Big Brother on the recording.
That's a good show. I'm gonna watch that show one day. I'm gonna watch the other 28 minutes one day.
Right. One day I'm gonna get to it because that last 2 minutes every week. Ooh.
Hilarious. Those credits, I tell you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We are here for this Thanksgiving episode. And maybe that's why it wasn't that interesting, because they were like, y'all are going to be with y'all's families. Maybe y'all aren't going to be watching anyway. So let's just throw a little bit of the honeymoon out at you.
We'll just slip this in here by you. So you're not even going to notice that it wasn't that great of an episode because you'll be busy making your Thanksgiving dinners. It's going to be all in the background. You're not going to pay much attention to it.
Right, exactly. Which is, hey, what we should have been doing. But make sure you go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed. That's where you can get all of our podcasts about Married at First Sight, Love is Blind, The Ultimatum, the show Perfect Match, all of the unconventional love shows right there in one spot for you on the Love at First Sight feed. So make sure you go subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating or review. I want to shout out a few today. One is from Keeping It Off This Time. I'm assuming that's just like their name. They just want to be anonymous. The subject is best podcast, and I love them. It says these two are amazing. Totally the best podcasters out there. Humor, details, insight, and attention to detail are top notch. I swear I look way more forward to the podcast than even the show. Y'all feel like friends. I adore your reviews. You crack me up. I truly look so forward to listening and laughing. Thank you so much, Anonymous.
So good. So I love that so much. I love that review. I'm gonna do one and then like a special one. So the first one is from Shelby T. Right, it's entitled "Great Pod." It said a tip of the backwards hat to this MAFS podcast. Good callback to our guy Austin. The other one is a little bit of a special case. Now we only read out 5-star reviews on this podcast, but a couple times this has happened where we get a 4-star review, but seems like it might be a 5-star.
It feels like a 5.
Maybe a slip of the finger. It's happened a couple times on this podcast, so we just want to call it out. But like, hey, in this case, M. Thomas R. Maybe you didn't realize you weren't doing the full 5.
It's like when your teacher gives you a 90 and they're like, amazing, no notes. I'm sorry, then why wasn't it a 100?
It's like, can you check this again? Can you just go through it again to make sure? The review is titled "A Fun Time." It says, this is a fun podcast, and I enjoy their different perspectives and banter. I don't hear any negatives there. I don't hear any reason for any deductions.
Areas for improvement.
Yeah, seems like a 5-star to me. So M. Thomas R., if you are listening to this, if you're hearing this, and maybe your finger slipped, or I mean, hey, if you did mean to give it a 4-star, all power to you.
Right. No, I'm standing 10 toes down on that 4-star.
No, I meant that for you guys could do better. So, I mean, if you want to update the review and tell us what we can do better to earn your other star, we'll go with that too. But from what I'm hearing, what I'm reading, sounds like a 5-star. You tell me, I'm telling you. You tell me.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and, actually a couple more orders of business. Make sure you subscribe to the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube channel. That's where you can see us visually, so that you can enjoy the podcast, get those nuances. Like we did like 2 whole seasons, not on video. And people are always wondering like what, because we would get to enjoy our facial expressions and stuff. Mm-hmm. So then we came to YouTube, and that's why we're here. So make sure you go watch the YouTube video of the podcast when you listen to the podcast, and put a thumbs up.
Yeah, put a thumbs up. It's right down there.
Yeah,
I think it's on Asia's side.
Yeah,
so yeah.
That's right. Yeah, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Yeah, exactly, because we know there's a lot. There is a lot on the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So help us out in our little corner that we're in.
Those thumbs up really helps get more views, get more eyes on us. Lets us brag to the other RHAP podcasts. Like, you see our thumbs up this week? Do you see that? Yeah. So, help us out there. You guys know all things you can help us out. Ratings, reviews, thumbs ups, all those things would be a great help. Helps us get more eyes, more ears, more listens, more whatevers. Maybe at some point, we get noticed by the big wigs up in Lifetime. They're like, those two, we should really put them on the after party. What do you think, other big wigs? They're like, Jason and Asia, they're great. Call them up. So yeah, just help us out.
Right. Also, make sure you join in on the fun in our Facebook group. We have a lot of fun in there, talking about the episode, talking about just little things throughout the week, getting updates on past Married at First Sight couples. So make sure you go join, and you can find us at A Perfect Match Podcast in Facebook. You look that up, you'll find us, and there's a password. So this week the password is
flyboarding, or as Emily called it, a jet ski thingamabob.
Yeah. That looked so fun. I would love to do that.
I would definitely do that. That would definitely be one of those excursions that I would for sure do 100%. Now that
Yeah.
paint room, yeah, you can miss.
I could do without.
Yeah.
Because the moment you're throwing paint on my hair,
it's over.
it's a wrap.
Divorce. You say the word out loud. Divorce.
You have killed the mood, and I'm done.
My Trey, he put paint in my hair. It's over. I don't care who you gotta call.
Cut the cameras.
Pastor Cal, Dr. Pepper, Pia, whoever. I'm out.
Because that's not fun.
I told you not to put any in my hair.
Just a simple request.
Be over.
Oh gosh. So yes. So make sure you go join the Facebook group. We have a lot of fun in there. So let's get started. I mean, it wasn't the most eventful episode, but there are a few things we found out. So hopefully we can update you there.
Listen, this is a journey to get to the part everybody wants to talk about, right? So let's
It really is.
Let's go through this episode to get to the segment we all really want to talk about. But we got to lead y'all to the path before we get there. So
exactly
the other couples. So Austin and Becca, they're up first. Yes, please get me that picture.
And listen, you may have noticed if you're on the YouTube video, I'm not in my normal environment. I am at my mom's house. So I will remember.
Was there a Thanksgiving table discussion about you not putting the pictures up?
I told her beforehand, before the podcast came out last week, I said, Mom, I forgot to put it up for the first couple. So therefore, I didn't put it up for any of the rest. She said, oh, you just got to do everything yourself these days.
Telling you. I had a little discussion with Mama Welch in the YouTube comments last week, and she thanked me for being on her side. I said, I'm here for Mama Welch. You got this hard-headed kid that was refusing to do what is asked. I'm with you, Mama Welch. I'm for you. Listen, if you weren't going to do it, I was going to put it up on my phone and hold my phone up, be like, "This is what we talking about, Mama Welch. This is what we talking about." But thankfully, we decided to get right and put the pictures up.
Listen, I'm sorry. We're on episode 6, okay?
But you won't tell it to your mom's face.
We are on episode 6.
Call her in here. Call her in here to the room right now. I want to watch you tell that to her face.
How don't y'all know who these people are yet? No, I get it. I get it. When you have a lot of shows, people's faces get all mixed up. You just want a little frame of reference. So
listen, when the show first came out, I would not have been able to tell you which one was Austin and which one was Brendan. Now I can, but beforehand it was a little confusing.
Yeah.
But Becca and Austin up first. I gotta put on my backwards hat cosplay. You know how we do. I gotta get in the spirit. Gotta get in the moment. Honestly, and I was this close to texting you and saying, do you think you could get like a swim shirt from somewhere? And we could both wear swim shirts on the podcast for our guy Cameron. Right. Cameron does not want to see what his torso looks like.
Not at all. And I'm like, I don't think I own a swim shirt. No, I don't. Plenty of bathing suits, no swim shirts.
Yeah, I was this close. I was like, it's Thanksgiving. I don't want to make her go out and try and find a swim shirt.
I could go. Yeah, there is a Family Dollar up the street. I could have perused that.
Let's get back to Austin and Becca. They had a pretty quiet episode for a long time until we got to there was this moment where all the girls and all the guys separated to hang out. So this is where we got really the most most Austin and Becca content. So that's kind of where we start here. We're at the girls hang out. And of course, like all these hangouts, dude, like, how's your marriage going? Becca talks about she's kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop right now because everything feels so perfect right now. But she does say they haven't really broached the tough topics yet, like politics, religion, or like long-term goals.
And I'm glad she said that because I was wondering.
Yeah, she says typically she goes and fills things right away, but she's not doing that here. And she says, because Austin's kind of curtailing all that talk. Like she brings up, he's like, let's just have fun right now. Let's just have fun, which got me side-eyed Austin a little bit. I was like, do you foresee a issue coming up? You just want to delay it until as late as possible. So I don't know, Austin. You got me side-eyeing for just that.
Because I'm like, what are you waiting for?
Mm-hmm. But I will say, I kind of appreciate that tact in a way, because listen, we're on the honeymoon is like kind of the start of the foundation. Let's have fun first, okay? We don't have to dive into I mean, look at Lauren and Orion. They're deep diving into tough topics, and they're having a crappy time. So
yeah,
let's wait a little bit.
I guess. I mean, but you're still. I feel like it could be a little deceiving. And thanks, by the way, for letting me know my audio is coming through my mic and not through my computer and not my mic. I appreciate that. Good looking out.
You sound
For your
sound a
ears.
little crisper now, but you sounded fine to me at first. I don't know. I'm not a technical genius, agent. I can't figure out how to put the photos up there. Okay, I don't know.
I just checked. I said this guy. So I feel like it could be a little deceiving in that they're building this foundation of just like they are enjoying like these simple things. And then what if it's a deal breaker? Like, what if it's something that they have opposing religious views or opposing political views, and it really matters to them? Then it's just like,
well, listen, if it's a deal breaker, we had fun in Cancun for a week. So, which would you rather have a miserable time in Cancun or save our miserable time for later when we're in freaking Colorado? Okay,
true. Okay,
so there's that. Like I said, look at Lauren and Ryan. They're in Cancun, but they're not having a fun time. We're at least having a fun time. You know what I mean?
Look at them.
Yeah, but at the girls' hangout, Becca does tell the other ladies, like, listen, just because we're super affectionate right now and we seem to be doing great, like that doesn't really mean anything at the moment. Like she talks about like she's envious because all the other girls have an uphill climb, but that means there are probably going to be good things on the horizon. But for her, she feels like it's so good right now, things can only go down from here. Contrast that
lovely pessimistic view.
Well, I mean, and it's an interesting comparison to how Austin and Becca handled their situations with their groups, because Austin's very quiet down this whole thing. They ask how things going. He's like, yeah, good. So like, yeah, yeah, I don't, yeah, I don't know. It's good. And I didn't just make that up. That was like verbatim, pretty much what he said, and not anything else of substance.
I was like, why is he being like this? I got it when he explained after, but at first I was just kind of like, you look like you're hiding something, but you're hiding something good.
It didn't even surprise me, because that's how he is on after party. When they ask him anything on after party, he's like, yeah, good. Like, that's it. That's all you got, Austin.
Yeah.
So it was odd for a moment. I was like, that's kind of how he is on after party. So it's not too surprising, but we do get a little more insight on it when Austin and Becca had their debrief later in a hammock. I did notice, like, when she walks up, she's like, "What's up, love?" I was like, "Oh, just throwing the L word around." Okay, interesting. So he does tell her, listen, I kind of downplayed our relationship because I didn't want the other guys to feel bad about how well we're doing. So I didn't really say much. He says, I imagine it's hard for the other couples to not be discouraged because they see us doing so well. And they aren't. It's like,
yeah.
I think Becca's reaction was surprising to me. She's like, oh, so you just want me to be hurt and not them. I was like, oh, shit.
Because it's like, yes, I feel like that was an extreme reaction, but I get her feeling about it, because she's like, she feels that she's over the moon happy, right? She shares that with the women.
Right.
But then for him to downplay it makes it look like she's the only one in that position. And like, he's like, well, it's okay. And then it's like, for her to hear him, like if she had heard him say what he said, she would be like, really? Is that how you're feeling? She would feel like a little bit like slighted because he's not being honest. But he's like, if for her internally, it felt like he cared more about how they felt than how she would feel in that moment. Like her watching it back, whereas he's like, we know, but
like,
she's not saying it like that. Yeah.
Like, she wanted him to go and they were like, everything's fantastic, everything's great.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy her so much, but he's just like, yeah, it's fine, it's good, it's all right.
Yeah,
but
I can't pick one thing.
And she says something that she probably read on like a Home Goods pillow or something. She's like, by extinguishing your own candle, you aren't lighting others. Austin's like, what? What does that mean? She says, well, by downplaying
I'm extinguishing our own candle.
Yeah, she's like, well, by downplaying what we have, it doesn't give anything to them, so there's no point of doing that. He
I
says,
get
well,
that.
just he says, I
I
mean, it just I get Austin's side of it. He says it feels kind of insensitive for me to watch all these other guys struggle and for me to be like, nah, everything's perfect, everything's great.
But what he says is like he feels like it's rubbing it in
Yeah,
their face, right?
yeah,
There's a middle ground. They're both taking the extreme. Like
yes,
she's like, I have to have everything that I'm feeling out on the table in front of them because why not? And he's like, I feel like if I were to say like we really like each other, that's going to be rubbing it in their face. When
yeah,
it's like you don't have to give every little detail, but at least like she just wants him to convey that they are in a really solid place. They are great. But not he doesn't have to do it in a way that's bragging like, "Oh, don't y'all wish y'all were where we are?"
Cameron and Claire, y'all haven't kissed yet. We can't keep our lips off each other.
Because I don't even with Becca, like even though she is like really expressing how great things are, I don't feel like she's rubbing it in their face because like I thought so until I saw how they were receiving it. Like Claire saying, "I need advice from you how I can
Yeah,
get there physically." So it's like, okay, she's receiving this well. Like they have a friendship. She's not seeing this as like she's bragging or anything.
yeah. And at the same time, Becca is downplaying it in a way to be like, yeah, everything seems great, but the only way we can go is down. So I thought that was an interesting way
Yeah.
as well to kind of
Where that's like not even
phrase
on the
it.
horizon.
Like I don't even know if Austin is even seeing that what she sees. That it can only go down from here. Austin's like, oh, really? It can.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was their kind of debrief where they kind of talk about what they talk to with their respective gender groups, I guess. We then get so this episode was interesting because we got a journey to a boat. We went on one excursion to try to go to a boat, but that got called off because it was raining too hard. So instead, they all go to lunch as a big group, and then there's this thing that was obviously put in by production, where Becca's like, "I have this random box of questions. We're just gonna pass it around," and that like Becca, why are you bringing a box of questions to lunch? Like, no, that was production. Just put this box in front of Becca.
Which I thought was funny because I was like, normally when they leave out this like wasted trip, but I felt like they had to do that to move that Emily hair story along.
Well, I feel like a lot happened on that bus trip, and we'll get to it. Like with Cameron and Claire, something interesting happened. So, I think normally they would have cut that out, but here there were some interesting things that happened from that trip.
That's true. Yeah, okay, those two couples. Because I was
Yeah,
thinking mostly like we didn't really get much from Emily and Brennan
no, yeah,
or not Emily and Brennan, Becca and Austin
right,
and Lauren and Orion.
right. But throughout these questions, Becca's asked, "So, what areas in your life do you feel most fulfilled right now?" She looks at Austin with his backwards hat. She's like, "Romance for sure." Okay, cool. But they do eventually get to go on a boat. They have a successful boat outing. So we got a lot of kind of splintered groups. It was like Lauren and Orion and Becca and Austin were together, and then Emily and Brendan were off by themselves. Cameron and Claire were off by themselves. So it was interesting because Lauren and Orion and Becca and Austin are kind of just chilling with each other. So they kind of are swapping experiences, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lauren asked Becca if they feel so comfortable together right now because they're so similar. Austin's like, oh yeah, for sure, 100%. And Becca does point out she asked the experts for a genuinely good person. So when she and Austin started talking, she was thankful that it seemed that she had gotten that. He says that she makes him feel safe, and that was something that he didn't even know that he wanted. But now that he has it, it's incredibly relieving, and it's so incredible. And Austin also says he doesn't really have any fears about getting back to reality with Becca, so he's just kind of very in the moment. And of course, I feel like Becca kind of has this nervous like energy. She thinks very far ahead, I think. So she says, I'm nervous, but I'm thinking about more what can go right than what can go wrong. So I mean, that's kind of a good mindset to think about it, because I feel like she's thinking like I would be thinking, like, because I think very far ahead in the future about things that probably won't even come to pass, but I run so many scenarios in my head for anything coming up. I think that's probably where she's at now.
Yeah. And I also think like the reason that they tried to do these two, like maybe they were thinking right now there's the perception that these are the two solid couples. And then they didn't like escape that because it's like, no. You know how much
Not
Lauren
quite.
and Orion needed to be talking to each other just one-on-one?
Well, I think at this point in the honeymoon, I would have said like the two solid couples are Austin and Becca, and actually Emily and Brennan right now.
Yeah.
Because Laura and Ryan, I think, are the ones that are the most trouble at
Mm-hmm.
this point in the honeymoon, because no one else has had any big blow ups.
Yeah.
Because Cameron and Claire are just awkward right now at this point. They haven't had like a blow up. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was organic or the producers were like, you go over here and you go over here and over here. So I have no idea. But yeah, that was, I mean, that was pretty much Becca and Austin. Like nothing happened. It was kind of just smooth sailing as it's been for the last 5 episodes. So how about our ratings? How are you feeling about Austin and Becca right
now? So at first I was gonna say I wasn't concerned, but the one piece is this, like, they haven't talked about the core issues of a person.
Yeah,
like your beliefs.
It seems like next episode she wants to bring up religion. He's like, yeah, no, not right now.
Yeah, so he said, we're good.
Are you like a demon worshiper or something? Are you worried? I mean, because there was at their wedding, there was like the smashing of the glass, which is a Jewish tradition.
That was,
I'm not sure,
from his side, right?
I thought it was from her side, actually. Because I think she was the one. She was the one explaining it at the altar. So I don't know if that's something that's going to be clashing between them. So I don't know if that's foreshadowing for what's to come. But
yeah,
I would think if religion was that big of a deal to you, that would have been a deal breaker. I feel like that is a deal breaker that the experts wouldn't ignore. Hopefully. That's different than
don't underestimate the expert.
I mean, yeah, because that's different than I don't want a bald guy. They're stuck with a bald guy.
Yeah.
I think this like religion thing would be a deal breaker they would respect. I would
like
I would at least.
How this is how you would raise your family. Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna stick with a 5 this week. So 1 to 5, 1 being we don't think they'll be together by the reunion, 5 being we think they will be. I'm gonna say 5. And until we see that conversation next week, like maybe they do actually talk about it, then I'll reevaluate from there. But based on what we saw in this episode, like things are good. It could have very well be foreshadowing the way that they are seeing like Becca's view on like the potential for it, like going, I guess, crashing and burning. But yeah, I'll say 5 this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my 5 as well. Because I mean, even when there was something that like minor that came up where she was like they were in kind of a disagreement about how he should have handled the boys' meeting, I felt like they were able to talk it out and they were still in a good place after that. Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with my 5 too.
Okay. Cool. 5, 5, 5s. Well, 5, 5. It's 2 of us. So let's see. Okay, so the next couple that we can talk about is a couple that kind of saw a little bit of progress this episode. I don't know if I'm being too optimistic.
I think they showed a lot of progress.
Okay. We'll talk about Claire and Cameron. So they are shopping for him some new swim trunks. So that, you know, he loves his swimwear.
New swim trunks you can ridicule.
Right. Yeah. So then they go to this splatter experience. Kenny is their instructor. He's telling them how they're going to have this splatter experience. So what it seems like is they're creating art on a canvas, and they also can create art on each other, I guess. Because we've seen it where like that was the intent. Like most recently, I can remember with like Shaq and Kirsten, with like the body paint, but this necessarily wasn't that. They were, you know, it wasn't intended for that. I think
you come into this with the knowledge that you're probably going to get some paint on you.
Yes, you can get paint on you, but it's not. This isn't this romantic like discovering each other's body type of situation.
Yeah,
yeah. So we get a confessional from Claire saying she feels like this relationship with Cameron has been very serious. She doesn't know if he has romantic feelings for her. She feels like they're both very apprehensive to be like, oh, I like you, or the other person saying they like them. So she's hoping that this date is like very fun. So they, you know, they splatter some paint on the canvas or whatever. And then they start getting like playful, right? Which is good. to see with them, and Cameron just takes the most aggressive approach, pours this
bucket of paint.
This bucket of paint on Claire. It's like,
that was not planned. That was like
escalated.
So, and the thing was, it was such an interesting setup because they're painting their own canvases, and she's like, "Can I put paint on yours?" He's like, "No, definitely not." And then she does it anyway. And then she does it anyway. He's like, "Oi!" The New Zealand came out and came. He's like, "Oi, hey!" And then at that point, that's when he takes the bucket. He's like, "Oh!" And then she's like, "Oh, it's so playful." She starts looking at him.
Covered in paint.
I don't think it was playful from his side. He was just like, "Take this, take that." Like, I was like, oh. Right. Maybe he like transferred into playful, but I think he was. I think he was serious at that point.
Yeah, she's like, that's a lot of pent up energy.
Yeah.
And we get a confessional from Cameron. He's like, he says he likes her, and like seeing her have fun around him makes him think like that she likes him too. Because it turned into this thing of like, okay, she threw a little bit of paint on him too, like, haha, playful. He takes 2 more buckets,
stretches her.
She's like, this is so fun.
Picks her up, dips her head into a bucket of paint.
He's like, we're having so much fun, right?
Yeah.
She's like, hurry up. She's gargling for air, just trying to find a moment of oxygen.
Trips her, she falls on the floor. Just dumping buckets of paint on her. Like, you like this, right? This is fun.
He goes back. He tells Kenny, we're out of paint. I need more.
I need 5 buckets of blue. Snap.
But he even did acknowledge. He's like, she was able to handle like me being aggressive with the paint. She took it well. He said she took his aggressive play well.
That was such a weird comment from him. What do you think y'all were doing there?
A self-aware king.
It's just a taste of what's going to be like in the bedroom.
I was like, what is happening? But yeah, she said on after party, she was that cover up she was wearing was done for. She like the paint, she couldn't get it out.
I would hope that you wouldn't come into a situation with anything that you were like attached to.
Right.
I kind of assumed that it was easy to wash out paint.
That's what I thought, like what do you call it? Like with the markers, if you put that on your skin, like not non-toxic, but you know what I'm talking about. But I'm not really packing something to go to Mexico for vacation that I would just want to throw away, though.
True. Yeah,
I'm most likely like bought an entire.
I was surprised they didn't give them like those kind of smocks that you can.
Oh yeah,
like onesies. I was surprised they didn't have those.
That's how I know this wasn't intended for what Cameron did.
No, but I mean, then they gave them the gun so that they could shoot at each other. So I mean, I think that you go into that like knowing that at some point you're gonna.
Yeah, I guess. So then the guys and the girls get together. So when the guys got together, Cameron said that him and he felt like him and Claire had a breakthrough moment, and she's a lot more playful than he realized. He says sometimes like they get stuck in the same mode at the same time. Like whether it's like really serious, what's really mostly when it's really serious.
I would say she got stuck in nagging mode for this whole honeymoon, because that's what she kind of did to him the whole time.
Yeah,
up until the paint thing.
Then he says that she's just not great at like communicating how she feels. Which moment of this did she get so annoyed by on after party?
It was when he was telling the guys that he finds her very attractive. And she like
got so mad.
Yeah, they had the picture of them showing the moment, and you could see her in the after party studio. She literally had her hand over her face, like, "Oh my gosh, he did not just say that." Where he like literally tells the guys, like, "I find her so attractive." And because after when we come back, Keisha's like, "Okay," I mean, sorry, Rudy. It's like, "You had such a reaction to that. What is going on?" And Claire says, "Well, from what I heard, when he came back from the guys, he told the guys that we weren't vibing. That's what he told me. So to see now that he's talking about he finds you so attractive is frustrating, because he wasn't communicating with me what he actually felt."
Yeah, she's like, "I want to be open and communicate, and he doesn't want to be open." And when she's saying all this during after party, I said, "Oh, I missed something." I was like, I thought she was reacting to something else.
This after party was very interesting because it felt like we didn't see half of what happened on this show. Like, because Emily and Brennan was talking about all the issues she was having with their relationship that we didn't see at all on the show.
I said, and you know what? It was at this moment I realized that, okay, Emily has been on After Party a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like once you get into the motion, into the groove, Ryan, free every week for some reason. He's always on After Party.
He lives down the street from the After Party studio. He's like, y'all need me? Y'all need me?
Like, why are you putting yourself in this position?
Are you sure? Give me a call. I'm free. I'm down. I'm still licensed in Colorado, so I'm free whenever.
On your toughest episodes, you're like, I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll explain myself.
When all the women want to, when all the women will think differently, I'll be there.
I want the other women to crap on me so hard in the studio. I'm willing to come there and face the music every time I show my ass. Like, he's a glutton for punishment, all right.
We'll get back to him.
Yes.
But with Emily, I'm like, she has been there a few times. You think you get in the practice of like speaking in the present, or like speaking as if you were at that time, right? Mm-hmm. And I felt like what she was speaking to were things that had transpired after that, and kind of thinking like, okay, hindsight is 2020. We really didn't talk about a lot of deep stuff. Yeah. You know, I don't think in that moment she was realizing that they were lacking that depth.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, he keeps moving the goalpost. He's not saying what he really wants. I'm like, I didn't see any of that in this episode. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm like, maybe later, like 5 weeks in, Emily thought that and realized, dang, like, we didn't talk about anything on the honeymoon.
Emily, sweetie, we're talking about the honeymoon right now, not 3 weeks in, okay?
That's why I was like, I'm a little confused, which is why After Party is troubling, because you get to see these raw reactions on their face, which is like, we're like, okay, ain't no way they're together. Mm-hmm. So, anywho, how did I get on Emily?
Back to the main narrative. Claire is hanging out with the ladies.
I don't even know how I got there. Okay, so yes. Oh, well, one more. Okay, yeah. Oh, we were talking about Claire on After Party and her reaction. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when Claire was with the ladies, she was looking for advice on physical affection, because she's like, in my past relationships, like the guys I've been with have just not wanted to be physically affectionate in person, or like in public. And so she's like having a hard time trying to like get there, because she was thinking, oh, we're fine, until she looked at the other couples being all lovey-dovey, and she's like, wait, no, I want that. And so she said, you know, they haven't kissed or cuddled, but and they're like, well, have you initiated anything? And she's like, no. And they're like, well, like when he does initiate, reciprocate, like he puts his arm around you, like lean into it or whatever. And she's like, well, he's not going to do that. They're like, girl, he literally did that in front of us. He had his arm around you. She's like, oh, you're right, he did.
And there's another moment we're gonna come up to where I think Claire is too busy looking for the negatives. Yes. She's not seeing the positives at all, because like you said, she had to be reminded that he has been at least a little physically affectionate, because she's so busy like with the fact that he isn't every moment of the day telling her, you're so hot, you're so beautiful, you're so attractive. I think that's what she's looking for. She's looking for it on a platter, in a certain way, so much so that she's not seeing what's actually there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like it's as if she completely she's not being in the moment, like being where her feet are, like to acknowledge, whoa, wait a second, I am snuggled into his embrace right now. She's thinking, earlier, like he didn't do this, or later we're probably going to be awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
instead of seeing those moments where he's trying. So let's see. After all the guys and the girls got together, they're like debriefing, and he said he made himself really vulnerable with the guys, and he said he thought, like before this, he thought he was a great communicator, but now dealing with her, he's like, wait, I have a long way to go, because like she's on another level. And she's like, that's so nice.
And it's so interesting to say that she, I don't know why he says that she's so communicative, is because she's saying all the things that she doesn't like about him, but she's still not communicating the fact that she wants more from him in terms of, do you find me attractive? Like, I feel like one good conversation of do you find me attractive because I find you attractive
Mm-hmm.
would fix a lot of this.
Yeah.
And that's not happening from either side.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
they're both waiting on the other person to bring it up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So then she does say that she also needs to learn that not everyone communicates the way that she does. And she kind of did it in a shady way. 'Cause she's like, yeah, not everybody is open and receptive to everything.
Not
I
everyone
was
is a
like,
superior communicator like myself. Just
right.
again, I mean, just a tad bit of pretentiousness in Emily's interactions with Cameron for sure.
Yeah. And so then she says, like, she does feel bad for not acknowledging the times that he has tried to be physically affectionate. She does call out that the girls talked about him having his arm around her, and she's like, she didn't even realize that. So he says he is super optimistic about their future. So it's at least good that this is out there on the table. That
And it seems that this paint excursion, which to me was like, it was fine, was such a experience for both of them that like we're basically a brand new couple now. Like that was fantastic. I was like, okay, did y'all have that much fun? Like, but it was, I guess any port in a storm will do.
Right. She does this like they're like about to do something, and she's doing this selfie video, and she can barely fit him into the frame because of her height.
Cameron bent down.
Right. But it was before they got on the van to go to the boat for the first time. So when they did the questions, they asked Cameron when they tried to go on the boat, didn't happen. They had to do this like group activity.
Well, on the bus ride was where we got like the very interesting stuff from Cameron and Claire.
They were fine. Things were great, right? They're sitting with each other, and then it seems like there was like a holding period, kind of, where they were waiting to get out the van, see if the rain was going to stop, to see if they really needed to cancel the boat activity. And Cameron, who we know is tall, what is he, 6'4", 6'5", something like that. He is he's sitting next to her, like all the couples are sitting in a row in this van, but there is a bucket seat across the aisle where he could stretch his legs out. So when everybody's waiting, some people like started to take a nap. Cameron moves over so he could, and he literally, as soon as he moved over, he stretched his legs out. I was like, oh, poor guy, so tall.
The way this was shot was fantastic because literally all the other couples, all three other couples decided to snuggle and take a nap on this bus ride. It was like it was an announced nap time. All right, everybody, snuggle with your partner, nap time.
Everyone pull out your mats.
And you get this you get the music under the scene that's so romantic because you can see everyone so comfortable with each other that they are snuggling into each other's arms and things. It's so romantic. And then the music is just like, bro, when Cameron just moves a whole seat over away from Claire to sit in this what'd you call it, a bucket seat?
Yeah.
That he can stretch his legs out, and it was so hilarious, and the aftermath was funny too.
Yeah, and she's like, why'd you move over? He's like, oh, I was just moving over. And she's like, well, like, what did they, because they went back and forth, and she was like, you assumed? And he's like, well, I don't want to assume.
Yeah, he was like, because she said you could have, stretch your legs out sideways, like into the aisle. And he's like, well, if I was going to do that, I would have had to, like get all up in your space and use you as a pillow. She's like, well, you could have done that. He's like, oh, I had no idea. I guess I was just assuming. She's like, she says, well, that was a poor assumption. and then he's like, well, yeah, I guess I could have just done this. And so when he does go into like use her as a pillow, she recoils. She's like, not now.
Yeah, you missed your chance.
The moment's over. The moment has passed. You can't do it anymore.
It was such an unnecessary petty moment.
Yes.
Because the poor guy wanted to stretch his legs out.
And he's not sure if he can even get within, a foot of your personal bubble. So
yes,
instead of assuming that he could just snuggle with you, he decided to move over. But man.
Yeah. So that was a funny moment of them on the van. When they do the group activity, like this lunch, the group asked Cameron what's his biggest pet peeve. He said if he walks in a grocery store and there's no self-checkout, he is walking out.
Same.
Really?
Same. Since the advent of self-checkouts, which I am old enough to have been around for, it's a game changer in store shopping. I am fine checking myself out. I don't need anyone else asking me about how my day was. I don't need any awkward small talk. Let me get in and out, and I'm good.
I do opt for the self-checkout unless I'm like it's enough to put on the conveyor belt, like I'm pushing the limit
Oh,
to
I've had a whole week full of groceries. Like, nope, self-checkout.
the worst is when you if you go to the grocery store for something specific, right? I remember one time I knew that evening I wanted to make pasta. I was like, I just need to buy all the ingredients. And I put the stuff up. Lady's like, oh, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm great. She's like, you making pasta?
None of your business. None of your business.
Like, I sure am.
Well, I mean, there is that shame too of the grocery store. Like, I don't want anybody to know why I'm buying three jars of peanut butter.
And then they're like, you must love peanut butter.
Like, no, I hate it. Actually, I'm allergic.
They love making small talk.
Love it.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Okay. What else was asked? Oh, Claire. Someone asked Claire what have been the biggest life lessons that she's learned, and she says to make sure you show the people you care about that you love them. And Cameron does say he has been guilty in the past of taking people he loves for granted. And we keep getting this shot. If you're watching the YouTube video, let's act like this mic is Cameron's leg. We keep getting this shot of Claire's hand on Cameron's lap, just like this. And they keep showing it to show they're touching.
It's touch time. She's like, I'm just going to show some physical affection. I'm just going to lightly place my hand on your leg for no reason, because you're being so vulnerable. This is your little reward for being vulnerable. I'm giving you a touch. Just a little touch.
It wasn't like, okay, yo, embrace his leg, rub,
Yeah.
She said,
just this is what you get for now.
The smallest bit of hand.
I just wonder what Cam's thought was at that point. Like, did a bug land on me? Like, what's going on? Oh, it's your hand.
Imagine she first did it. He's like, what's that?
Bug. Oh, just my wife. Okay, not used to that from you.
Didn't see you there. Oh goodness. Oh, and then they asked Cameron, what's the hardest part about him? What has been the hardest part a part about himself to accept? And he said a lot of his memories in his past don't align with who he is today, because there are large parts of his life that he sees. It's like watching a movie, because growing up he hated school, and then his parents got divorced. He was a troublemaker even before that happened, and so he just was acting out basically. And so he's like, it's not who he is today. And Claire, in a confessional, she's like, I know that was really hard for him to share. And she feels like she's seeing a new side of him.
Maybe I'll move further up his calf this time.
Maybe this time I might put my hand on his arm. She's like, but let's, baby steps.
I do want to shout out the confessional cam, where sometimes we have these different confessionals. Sometimes they're in the moment. Sometimes you can tell they're done weeks to months after the fact.
Yeah.
Weeks to months after the fact, Cameron has almost a full beard going.
Yes.
Like, Cameron's had some hard times
full goatee.
Since this aired. Like, are you okay, Cam? You doing all right? Because he's looking like he's in rough shape. He's got the whole
also looks like beard. Who also looks like they're in rough shape, not even just by facial hair, but just overall tone, overall mood. Brennan. I'm like, my guy, what makes you happy? Because you he literally makes me a little bit like, are you okay?
I mean, yeah, I would love to see an excited Brennan, what that's like. I would love to see if Brennan won the lottery. What is his
You'd be like, wow, okay, that's cool.
Awesome. That's a lot of money. I really love money, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, that really
what happens if his favorite pet dies? That's really a bummer.
It's unfortunate.
That's awful. Yeah. Because I mean, I wouldn't be able to blame Emily if she's like, I can't read this guy, because no one can. He's just so monotone all the time.
And I don't know what it is. It's like, is it like a comfort thing with the cameras? Like maybe there is a different side to Brennan, or I just can't imagine them putting him on Married at First Sight if this is what he showed them.
Yeah, that's definitely very interesting and odd because he is definitely the one with the least amount of charisma and
Mm-hmm.
presence for a camera, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe they were like, boy, we got this Emily here. We have to put her on the show. We cannot find anyone besides this Brennan guy to match her with. He's such
You're
a
like, he's
zero.
agreeable.
They're like, to get Emily on the show, I guess we will go ahead and have Brennan on the show just to get Emily.
Yeah, because I don't know. Because if you went based off of just how he acts, I would think he does not like her. He doesn't like this experiment.
But he insists that he does. He's like,
Yeah.
she's really great. I could really see myself being with her for the rest of my life. She's fantastic. She seems like she could be the one. I'm so excited. Right. Can't you tell?
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic, over the moon.
This is great. I could see forever with her. Can you? How? Please explain.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Oh, well, real quick. I don't think we're done with them, actually. We might have a little bit
more. As we do, we sidetracked over to another couple.
I'm moving on. Next couple.
We're only halfway through the segment, but who cares?
Okay, Claire and Cameron. Okay, so they go on the boat. This is their last little bit. There's this like small conversation about the boat bringing out the best in people. I don't know.
We had to have this like metaphor of the sea and how the relationship is with like the tides.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Cameron, that's enough.
Yeah. She feels more comfortable with him. She feels like it's been more organic.
I don't know how she feels more comfortable because he has his arm around her, like she's his buddy. Like, hey, pal.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, this is weird. Why do you have your hand around me like this?
Right. He says, which true Cameron fashion, what can't just like live in the moment. He's like, so I will say this. I do think this has been harder on you. Then out of the two of us, this has been the hardest on you. She's like, what do you mean? You could tell she instantly got offended because she's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I feel like I'm just more willing to be in an uncomfortable situation than you are. Like when things are awkward with us, I'm like more willing to be in that type of space whereas like you wouldn't want to be. And she's like, okay, I can agree with that.
He's basically like, your energy has really messed this whole thing up. Like, like you made this awkward.
He's like, you know what, pal? If this doesn't work out, it's on you.
Yeah, this is your fault.
Yeah. He feels like ever since the splatter date, they are in a completely different relationship than they were yesterday. He's pleasantly surprised by her, and he truly thinks she's an amazing person. And it helps. He was like, it doesn't help that he's, oh, sorry, it does help that you're easy on the eyes. Which is funny because I'm like, listen, that was a very positive thing to say. She's truly an amazing person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Claire, like, here you go. This is him telling you that you're attractive, but you can't see it because you want it a certain way. She wants it the way that she wants it. So she's not even going to see that he is telling her that he finds her attractive, that he thinks she's beautiful.
Yeah. And there she is on after party getting mad because he didn't tell
she literally had a, oh my God. He said that? Oh my God. Like, I swear she had both hands on her mouth at one point. Like, oh, I can't believe he said that.
Claire is the type of person that Cameron could give her this. She showed him, look, this is the necklace I've always wanted, this diamond necklace. Like, I've literally been looking at this for years. I just couldn't get it. He comes home. He's like, here you go. Here's the necklace you always wanted. And then he turns her around and put it on. And she's like, oh, why didn't he put this in a box? Why didn't he wrap it? Like, oh, I know this is what I wanted, but it's not how I wanted it.
Yeah. This is very unappreciative. Not unappreciative. Very like wants it the way she wants it. And that's
that's literally what it comes down to.
It's gonna be a problem.
Which I don't think that quality about a person can, like, it's not like if she had a different guy that wouldn't be the case. Like, I feel like that's something in you that you would have to just work on. Like, I don't think that's like, oh, because it's Cameron, she doesn't like how it's presented. I think even if it was the perfect guy, she still would be thinking like, oh, well, okay, I specifically see things in this way. It's just a matter of like being able to give up that control where like you can't have control how everything is in a relationship.
Yeah, it feels like she has this image in her head of them having some candlelit dinner, and he grabs her hand. He's like, I just want to tell you, Claire, I think you are the most beautiful woman I've ever met. And I'm so attracted to you. I can't wait to make babies with you. I cannot wait to get down and dirty with you. I cannot wait. Like, you are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I feel like she wants something like that. And she won't do anything to meet him halfway in that. She won't.
Yeah.
She's waiting for him to be the first to make the move, but he's nervous to make the move because he's not sure how it's going to be received. So they're both just kind of in this gray zone that they can't find their way out of. Even though I feel like he's making that baby step to be like, you're so easy on the eyes. But she can't see that.
Nope. So scale of 1 to 5. What are you thinking?
Did I have them at a 2 or 3 last week?
You had them at a 2.
You know, this seems to go in a positive direction, but I don't think it's positive enough to make me move from my 2 to my 3. So I think I'm going to leave it at a 2 for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was at a 1, so I'm going to go up to a 2.
Okay. I feel that. Yeah. So next up, Emily and Brennan. So again, we come into this like we're going to go flyboarding, even though I still can't feel my hand. And she literally just has a pack of ice. Like, they got a plastic bag and went to the hotel like ice machine, filled it up, and put it in her hand. Can someone get this woman a doctor's appointment? Can we get a medic out here? I know the show has to have a medic somewhere.
They said no, only hairstylist.
Can we get her a brace? Can we get her something to help with this hand? I feel like she might be one of those people that's just like, I don't want to cause any trouble. I don't want to cause any issues. So I'm fine. I can't feel my hand, but I'm fine. I just have to wonder.
Visibly swollen.
Yeah. And she's like, just got a big old bag of ice on. Like, it's fine. It's good. No, girl, you need some type of bandage. You need some type of brace or something.
Yes.
You're gonna have problems with that hand for the rest of your life if you don't get it looked at like that. Like 10 years from now, she's like, see if I do this? Here, clicking in my hand if I do this. If I move it a certain way, it gets frozen for 5 days. But that's a long story. On my honeymoon to a guy I was married to for 2 months, I sprayed my hand and never got looked at. So that's what I'm stuck with.
She literally said, I cannot feel my hand. And production said, and
yeah, so but you're still good to go waterboarding, right? You're still good for that.
I couldn't believe she went out. Yeah, I could not believe she went out there.
I'm gonna go out here and on an activity that if this goes wrong, I will definitely fall into the water and probably hit my hand on the surface of the water and make it hurt even more. But I'm good. And Brennan's like, boy, I really respect the fact that you're willing to come out here and do more damage to your hand. Oh. So they do a little flyboarding activity. It goes fine. They both get up on the water eventually. This does seem very fun.
Yes.
He does say in the confessional that, since she's doing all this with a hurt hand, it really makes him see that she is very motivated and passionate and nothing can knock her down. And he says she is a catch and is awesome.
Yeah.
just like that.
She's so motivated and she's passionate. And I really do see a future with her. She's
going to be the mother of my children in no time at all. I can see us growing old together, sitting on a porch swing when we're 70. And our grandchildren all around, and she is the love of my life, and there's no one else for me. That's it.
I have never been more in love.
Yeah, I love my life, match my dreams. Thank you, experts, for this. Really appreciate it. Really great.
Yeah.
The next day we get kind of a solo confessional from her. She's like, yeah, my hair has really turned into dreads from being in the water, and I'm so bummed. Now I was like, I'm not sure that's the terminology you meant to use.
When she started to say bird's nest, I was like, stick with that, please. And move forward.
Let's go with that. But we do get the girls outing. At the girls outing, Emily does tell the ladies about the fact that, even though this is her first relationship, she does feel like everything is going the way it should be. Feels good, feels normal. Meanwhile, at the boys hangout, Brendan says, I came into this looking for a best friend and a partner. And the more we learn about each other, the easier it feels. And I'm so excited to do more firsts with her. Back at the girls' hang, they ask her like, "So, what's going on with the sex? How's that going? I know you really wanted to have sex on the honeymoon." She says, "Well, I've been trying to do things a little differently with this, and I want to build a more stable emotional connection first." Which is like,
okay,
that's not exactly
what did Brennan say? Okay, I want to get deep. Okay, can't remember what he said.
Something about emotions. Something about some stupid emotional connection. I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, because I mean, Emily, so far from what we've heard, you want it. He's waiting to give it to you.
He's the
but
one.
You want it. Yeah, he's the one waiting.
She said they're married. It's we want it.
Yes. And she mentioned to the girls, yeah, I've had my hair has been in dreads since the water activity. Now they do look over on the camera to Lauren, and she does not look amused.
She's like stone faced.
It's like, girl, you don't know what dreads are. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Keep it moving.
Just abusing my terminology, but whatever. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna show out on this camera right here. I'm not gonna snatch your weave. I'm gonna let some other guy do it later.
Yeah. I mean, because obviously we know that not only Black people have what people can refer to as dreadlocks.
Yes.
But it's just like,
But this is not it.
Yeah.
This was an accident. Dreads are usually intentional.
Yeah. Locks.
Yeah. Yes. Dreadlocks. Yes. On the failed bus ride to the boat, Becca sits by Emily and tries to do something with her hair, tries to comb it out, tries to brush it out, because apparently Emily is like 6 years old and cannot figure out how to brush her own hair.
I really thought that Becca had made some progress. Like, I thought she was able to work it out. I was like, oh, okay, like it's not that bad.
She made it a tiny bit better. She was able to put it in what they call a space bun, which is okay. Sure.
What they call? Yes, space buns are a thing.
Cameron's looking at her hair. He's like, oh my god, like this looks like a bird's nest. Are any birds living in there? They're like, thanks a lot, Cameron. Like, you're making her feel so much better.
Then he kept doubling down with his jokes. Yeah. He said this is how Princess Leia looks when she takes her hair down or something like that.
Yeah. And Becca's like, well, I told her at least her face is pretty. It's like, okay, all right. And this is where we learn that that Emily does have a hair appointment later to hopefully get it fixed more. More on that in a bit. When we get to the group lunch outing, Emily gets asked what she's curious about that she hasn't explored yet. She says, well, I'm very curious about what being in love is like. It's like, okay, we get it. But she says it does feel like it's so far so good with Brendan. Oh, sweet. After all that, we do get to Emily's hair appointment. She stresses a couple of times. This guy doesn't speak English, and so I'm really worried about what this is gonna be. It's like, okay, I mean, you are in Cancun. You can't expect everybody to speak English, but okay. He's getting to work. They're like, there's a lot going on here. This is definitely a surgery. He's got pliers at one point. He's on the after party. She does mention that he didn't have scissors, so she had to give him her eyebrow scissors, which are like these little itty bitty pairs of scissors. But he was getting to work. I thought he's gonna like put his leg up on the chair and like start yanking stuff out,
which was interesting because the fact that he had such small scissors, I was like, okay, her hair should be okay. Like there shouldn't be any concerns there with her hair, but no. There was someone in the Facebook group, Chloe Beth, said, hairstylist here, Emily, girlfriend, you did not listen to your hairstylist when she told you about the proper care of extensions on vacation. I was crying when they were cutting them out. They cut her real hair. And I'm like, yes, they definitely, that last snip, all her. That was all her hair.
I mean, it was all meshed up together. So, I mean, you can't really blame them.
I was like, at least if it, it was. So it's like, even those small scissors, even if he could cut out all the thread, he probably was still like, okay, it's still attached. It's like, this girl.
So, I mean, he gives her
like, rock what's it? John and Kate plus 8, Kate Gosselin. Just go ahead and rock that hairstyle. Start fresh.
So he like hands her like this, I don't know, squirrel-sized mat of hair. It's like, this, here you go. That's what it was.
What you gonna do with that?
There's a lot of hair. It was a match of hair. She says she feels bald, but I mean, I was like, Looks fine to me. I was like Brendan. Brendan's like, well, my hair's messed up. I just brush it, so I don't know what I don't know what the problem is. But she says she feels bald. But I was like, this looks all right to me. I don't know.
It's like when because like even on after party, she had an extensions. It's like if you're used to having that volume from your extensions, you're gonna feel like empty without it, which is why she wears extensions. So I thought it was fine when she like put it up in a ponytail. She had it up in a clip at some point. So yeah, you just can't do the same hairstyles that you had when you had the length of your extensions.
Yeah, we get back on. We get on the boat finally. She and Brennan are having a little talk by themselves. She compliments how great he's been through it all, even through all of her hair issues, her sprained hand. Emily's really having a hard time with this honeymoon. Okay, she says things aren't going great. He says, he tells her, "Listen, you look great regardless. It doesn't matter." And he could tell it was upsetting her, but the fact that she was still being able to smile through it all says, he says it's important to know that he will stick through with her no matter what, even through the small things. He tells her he wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. I feel like I'm getting a best friend, and that's special since I have a small circle of close friends. And so she's getting there because trust is big with him, and she is starting to earn that trust. And he appreciates her doing all the little things to earn trust every day. So she hears this, and she's like, "So what you're saying is I'm not in the circle yet?" It's like, I mean, no.
It's like, I am your wife. I am automatically in the circle.
Yeah. Like, she's like, "I'm not in the circle yet." He's like, "Well, no, but you're getting there." She's like, "Oh, I'll take that." You can tell she's just not really happy with that. So there was conversation about this on after party because I think Orion was like, with me, you automatically get my trust until you show me that you do something to lose it. Now that ain't me. You got to earn my trust. That's I feel like I'm more of a you earn it, you prove it to show you can earn my trust before I can give you all of my trust. I ain't giving it to anybody.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not like best friend level trust, but it's like I feel like everyone that I come across has a basic level of trust until you lose it.
See, that's how you get scammed. So.
I am susceptible to
That's
scams.
how you get your identity stolen. Oh, you need my social security number? Random person that just called me on the phone? I just met you. I trust you. Sure, here you go. So yeah, he's like, well, am I in your circle of trust? She's like, I mean, pretty much. My circle isn't as hard to infiltrate as yours.
Right.
She does tell him she's excited to get back to real life and see what that is like. He feels confident in them, and that on this honeymoon they're building a really good foundation to build on. They both kind of confirmed that we're very happy. Like this is going well. And I mean,
this is how I know her after party statement was not accurate, because otherwise she'd be like how Emily or she would be how Becca is right now, where she's saying, "Look, things are great, but I know we have not talked about these things."
Yeah,
where
she's
Emily is like, "Oh, things are awesome."
Yeah, and then afterwards she's like, "Well, he's not telling me everything. I feel like he's giving me 40%, and I'm just wondering where the other 60% is." Like, this is not what you were saying on the show.
Feeling that in this moment.
This is not what you were saying 4 months ago when they taped this. Y'all taped this honeymoon. Right. Okay, so what's going on? So as far as ratings, where are you at with Emily and Brennan?
So last week I was at a 3 for Emily and Brennan. I feel like I'm starting to see, like we said, like we haven't mocked him this way before, right? I feel like he's getting more.
You haven't mocked him? You think we're mocking him?
Okay, impersonate it.
I'm not trying to mock you, Brendan, in case you're watching this.
Okay, we have not impersonated him until episode 6, right? Like I feel like he's getting more to who he is truly. The excitement is wearing off, and I feel like this is going to be more true to the Brennan that we see for the rest of the time. And I don't think that that type of Brennan is what Emily is looking for.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think this Brennan, this monotone Brennan, is Brennan. Like I think the words.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but all the words he said this whole episode were very positive, were very good.
Emily doesn't care about that.
I mean,
That's just like Cameron saying all the right stuff. Claire don't care.
But in the episode, she seems very happy. She seems like everything's fine.
Gonna wear on her. I'm telling you, she's just getting this Brennan, this monotone Brennan. Yes, he's saying great things. He probably really likes her at this point. I don't doubt anything he's saying. I'm just saying the Emily who was the life of the party, that I don't think that they're going to gel in their temperaments.
Okay. So you're giving them, you're downgrading them?
No, I'm gonna maintain my 3.
Oh,
I just said, I'm just saying.
Well, I'm also going to maintain my 3. I honestly was toying with setting him up to a 4 because I feel like everything that he's saying is very great, very good. I think so far she's too caught up in her hand and hair drama.
She got a lot going on
to really give any adequate examination. But I'm gonna stick with my 3 because I feel like it's more just smooth sailing. I can't wait till we get back from the honeymoons to actually get into the real stuff. I feel like what you're saying is really going to come into focus when they get back, because there's so much talk from her in the previews like, do you find me attractive or no? And she might be confused because he's like, yeah, I find you very attractive. You're hot. Like, and he's not like, you are smoking. Like, I can't wait to take you to bed. Like, you're the best. Like, if he's just this monotone the whole time, like, you are great. And they're still not having sex, that's really going to throw her for a loop. Especially because she seems like a person that sex is very important to her. And if he's on this kick of, no, we have to build emotions first, that's only going to last so long with Emily.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing that yet. So I'm going to say 3 for now.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. So last but certainly not least,
Oof.
I mean, it might be. It might be least. I don't know. I'm buying time so I can switch these out, since we gotta put the pictures up.
You too scared to say it to her face. You're too scared. Watch, you're gonna make me cut that out later.
Edits out every time. So Lauren and Orion. We know we left off last week. Very, very tense episode for these two. This week, they continue that serious tone. We get an individual recordings of them, like just doing like the selfie video of themselves. We find out from Lauren that she slept separately just to give him some space. 5 a.m. She went back up to the room, or she went to the bed so he wouldn't wake up and she wasn't there. She wanted to figure things out for herself too. Like, yes, this was a very serious thing it was a moment where he was offended, but she also wanted to see how that made her feel, that whole interaction, and how he received things as well. And so in his video, he said, things feel a little bit offbeat. Really, Orion? Duh.
Yeah, you think?
Right. So they do go to this cave, and
excuse me, it's a cenote.
Yes. Which he's never been to one before. I was like, I think that's probably like 98% of us.
Yeah. I mean, I assume you've been to a cenote. So anything that has like an accent on it, I feel like Aysha Welch has been there. I've been to a cenote. I've been to a cideray.
Oh my God. Anywho,
I didn't hear a confirmation or denial there.
I've never been to a cenote.
Sure.
So she says, last night was difficult for both of them. We get a confessional. She's like, she felt like she put him in a predicament to where he felt offended, and he had to give a history lesson. And so that just added insult to injury.
And that makes me know that she is aware of what she said.
I knew she was aware in the moment.
Right. Yeah. And I don't feel like Orion ever got that. It feels like he was just in his perspective, in his space, and he wasn't thinking about the situation overall.
Yeah. So they sit down. He asks how she's feeling since yesterday. He's like, well, she says, I'm just feeling just okay. And she's like, just so you know, like nothing was said out of malice. And he's like looking at her and he's like, it was a lot. Rather than I hear you, thank you. Like I understand that. It was as if that said, whew.
Well, I mean, he almost continues the lecture, right? He's like, there are a lot of things that I don't move on.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know. We're gonna see that pretty soon.
Aware.
Yeah,
We are very aware. He said, one of those things that he doesn't move on is who he is and where he comes from. He said he wasn't upset. I call BS. He says he wasn't upset, but he took a walk. Because he wasn't able to formulate words where he wouldn't be respectful to her.
Wow.
That is being upset, Orion. What are you talking about?
In my mind, he's like, I had to go so I didn't cuss you out. Right. But you weren't upset though.
I would hate to see him upset. What would he say then? Not upset. I can't control myself from not being respectful. Like what I'm gonna say is going to be disrespectful. That's not upset. If you're upset, what do you do?
I wonder where on the Orion scale is upset and where is heated. Because he did say he was heated.
He was heated, but that's not upset.
That's a level under upset, I guess, right? Like this is heated and this is upset. Like
I don't know. Maybe he thinks upset is like tied to like emotionally sad or heartbroken. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, you were angry.
If he was upset, he would have used the disrespectful language that he was probably thinking in his head, but took a walk, so he didn't say to her out loud.
That I was just like, that's so contradictory. So she says that they both deal with like insincere and ignorant comments every day because they're both minorities, and so she understands like they shouldn't come home and also have to deal with that same ignorance, which is like. Yes, that is such a valid statement and shows that she understands how he was hurt by what she said. Mm-hmm. And so she says like it's going to be good for them to like continue to learn how to navigate stuff like this because when it comes up again, they'll know how to deal with it better and do better. I still just don't feel like after this conversation, it was as if he wanted to just like, okay, it happened. We could just see if we can move forward and I can just like forget about it or something.
Yeah, I mean, after the whole thing, it was like he had moved away from her. And then after the conversation, she's like, all right, I guess I'll come near you and we can hug. Right. Like, it was so interesting.
He feels like the biggest barrier in this relationship. And I understand, like, obviously, if you want to hear our thoughts about last week, go back to last week. I understand that they were both in the wrong last week during that conversation. It's just like, this is obviously at the heels of hearing talking about the entire show. So I'll save those thoughts for that ending conversation. So all the guys get together. No, all the girls get together, right? Mm-hmm. And Lauren says, she tells Claire, like, look, y'all may be having y'all's issues. Like you and Cameron have those issues, but you're not the only one dealing with relationship issues. They just look different. She's like, she's like, y'all can see we are in a interracial relationship. And we're learning how to handle certain conversations. We had a very uncomfortable conversation yesterday, and it made them realize, like, wow. She was like, it was the first time that they were like, wow, we really are different. So we're gonna have to figure out like how to navigate that. She has this very like, she says just uncomfortable, right? So downplaying a little bit, but being honest. It's like just withholding details.
Yeah, I like that she didn't divulge everything that happened.
Exactly.
So keep a little bit of it in house.
Yeah.
But just also be like, yeah, we are having issues related to culture and race.
Yeah. And so then others took the approach of I'm just gonna lie. I'm just gonna tell a cute little lie. So Orion is like, yeah, Lauren is everything that I want in a partner, and I can definitely feel something growing.
Yeah, I was like, really?
I'm sorry.
Is the same Orion from yesterday that was heated?
Mr. Heated.
Is this Orion? Who are you?
I was just like, okay, cool. Just withhold. Him and Austin were on some other stuff. I just felt like that. I was like, okay, clearly this whole like best friend world that they've created when they talk about it on the boat later, like, oh, we're just best friends. I'm like, clearly the guys aren't that close because y'all are just not being upfront with each other.
Yeah, that boat conversation was interesting too. Later down the line, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we got that from them. Later, after all the guys and the girls get together, Lauren and Orion meet up at some chairs at the resort, and she brought him ice cream, which was like which was his favorite ice cream. I don't know if she got him the mint chocolate chip or the strawberry or both, but he's like, "Oh my gosh, you remember I told you that one time. You remember my favorite ice cream?" She's like, "Yeah, listen, I like remember things." And they flash back and show us that when he told her the favorite ice cream, it was kind of shady of MAFS, because I'm like, they're showing us like, look, Lauren is trying, just so y'all are aware. Just to paint the picture here. And so they're debriefing, and he says like he still has trust in her, and she's like, "That's really good to hear, because I wasn't sure after our conversation." And we get a confessional, and she's like, she usually just like basks in the shame and the guilt when she makes mistakes, and her main thing is wanting him to feel safe. And she wants to make sure, she tells him like, she wants to make sure that like no matter what happens at night, in the morning we get our cuddles in or whatever we're in the mood for, like we're just back to ourselves. And he's like, "I love that." And then
It's one of those things where it's nice to say, but in practice,
like never go to bed angry.
Yeah, that's good in theory, but in practice may need a little work.
They said they both never had a relationship where they had consistent communication, and they do both say that they are very happy. So it's looking like, okay, maybe the hot tub conversation wasn't the end.
Yeah, at this moment, I was like, hey, we seem to be getting back on track. Like we're putting stuff in the past. Like I'm happy with where things are going right now.
Yeah. So they get on the boat, and they are with Becca and Austin, and kind of have this conversation back and forth, but we still get the sides of the relationship. We get to hear kind of how they feel about their own relationship. And Lauren says that they both wanted what they have now for so long. And Orion says that he's really like a really big thing for him is reciprocation. So that's what he just wants to make sure that he has. And she says she feels comfortable giving him her heart. So she feels really comfortable in this moment doing that.
Yeah, it seems like Lauren is really easy to kind of move on from situations, and Orion is more holds those things in his mind, and maybe that affects him. Because Lauren, I mean, she's in this moment all booed up again. She's like, "Yep, we're good, we're fine." I still feel this like hesitancy from Orion in every aspect I see of them.
Right. Like I'm not even in this relationship, and I feel the distance.
Yeah.
Like it feels like he's physically or emotionally distant. Whereas like before that hot tub conversation, it didn't feel like that. It felt like he was in the moment. He was all about like getting to know her. And now it just feels like there's this huge wall up where it's like he still feels, I mean, obviously we saw an after party that he doesn't regret how he reacted, or he doesn't not even regret how he reacted. He still maintains how he felt in that moment. I still feel like he feels like he hasn't gotten what he needed in terms of like, I don't know if it's an apology or he wants remorse or what it is. Like, what do you think he needs right now?
I feel like he cannot be satisfied. I feel like he's gotten both of those things. He's gotten an apology. He's gotten remorse. What else do you need to move on? He said, I feel like he has said he's moving on, but it doesn't feel that way. It just doesn't feel that way. So,
let's see. Oh, also, even before the boat, the group activity, they, one question that Lauren was asked was, who can you be the most vulnerable with? She said her little sister, and before her little sister, it was her mom. And so she said her little sister they have a similar sense of humor. She's also 27, like Orion. And she said her sister just doesn't judge her, which I thought was a very, very key thing there.
Unlike other people at this table.
Right. And then nudges him.
Yeah.
And so she asked Orion, what is she teaching him? And he says, how to talk about the future. And he's like, in doing that, he's kind of caught some feelings. He didn't say what kind of feelings.
I've caught feelings for you. Are you using that right? Oh.
But not upset ones.
Good feelings only.
He asked her what is he teaching her, and she said what it actually looks like to give grace and being more patient, because he's so patient with her. I would love to know, If she's on After Party next week, that'd be great. I just want to know her perspective
Yeah,
on this stuff.
because this don't feel like that. What she just said.
Yeah. And I mean, it could be, it obviously could be a whole different experience and new feelings arise after even watching it back.
True.
And so, okay. So yeah, that was a group activity. Then it's like roses and sunshine. Was there something you wanted to say from that group conversation with everybody? Like the sun was setting?
I didn't feel like I got a lot from them. It was like weirdly they were in just like a happy
line.
place. Like,
Yeah.
It was like, this seems weird because I don't feel like y'all are in a happy place. But okay.
Right. Yeah. So then it was like, oh, this episode is about to be like, oh, whatever. And then we get one last scene. We are at dinner with Lauren and Orion, as one does, go to dinner. So she tells him today was probably her favorite day of all the days they've had together. She says she really likes like the physical touch. Like she really likes touching him. She's imagining what it would be like to like be with him. Then it turns to this weird thing. Why are we talking about this?
She said, what it feels like to be with you. I was like, okay, as in a marriage, in life.
Be
with him.
And
then it goes just off the edges, just goes overboard. I'm like, where am I? What show did I fall into? Like,
it was the roller coaster we went on during this conversation. Because he says, how would it start? She's
and then they're like, okay, cut. We don't need to have this for the show.
Right,
but
exactly.
No, they kept going.
They kept going. Kept going. And so I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, as the wise as a wise person once said. She says she thinks he would do a certain thing, right? He's like, yes, I am a giver. That's for sure. And
listen, the thing that she said wasn't even accurate.
Because it only goes the reverse.
Yeah.
Okay. He said he's like a head to toe kind of guy, like that would be his focus. She asked about toys, and he's like he has a little. She asked would he be interested in that, and he says he has a little collection of his own, like 5. He's like, it sounds like you like to explore. She's like, I do. He's like, yeah, I think it would be very hard to resist. And he's like, because like it's been a while. It's been some bit of time. And she's like, how long has it been? He's like, about 1.5 years. She's like, oh, okay. She's like, well, it hasn't been that long for me. Like for me, it's been like a couple months, like exactly 2 months to the day. He's like,
his face like
this man replies, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable. I'm sorry, just like we were 2 minutes ago when y'all just took us into your bedroom.
I'm feeling uncomfortable.
It's like, what?
Wow.
He says, look, when they told me they found me a match, I like that. I wasn't going to do that, right? He says, I know my worth, and I wasn't just going to hand myself out.
Ooh.
She's like, look, it was 2 months ago. Mind you guys, the experts tell them they found them a match 2 weeks before they get married. They have been married for about 6 days at this point. And so 2 weeks and 6 days ago was when she found out she was getting married.
I'm like,
she explicitly,
did he mishear her?
Literally, she explicitly told him. It wasn't like I found out I got a match and I said, oh, let me go do this real quick. It was 2 months ago, meaning like, Orion, before.
Yeah, you realize she told you 2 months, 2 weeks, right? Like, because he reacted to this like she said weeks.
Yeah,
like the experts told her, you're right, you got a match, and she's like, let's go, let's sow some wild oats before we finish this thing up.
He almost acted like she said 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's true. You know when we first got here, that cute bag boy at our hotel? Yeah, him. But so we've had this like similar situation, right? We've had like definitely with last season, Eris and Clint. They had sex 2 weeks before the wedding, which was, from what we surmise, right before they were told that they were going to be getting married. Now, the difference here, I think, is where they fall into the casting process. because 2 weeks right before you get told, I think have a pretty good idea that you're probably
right. Like, you're being set up to be filmed probably for some more for the show for some reason. Like, you don't know it's Dr. Pepper or Patrick Al telling you, but
yeah, like you don't know that you got a match, but you can be like you're probably in a good
you're in the running.
You're in good running for it. Now, 2 months before, I think is a different.
That's still
thing.
an unknown.
Right.
Like, okay, I know I applied for this show, but am I going to act like I'm me and the 600 other people who are,
I mean, you're probably in a pool of like 50 to 60 people at that point. They probably whittled it down a good amount, but there's still a good possibility you're not getting on the show. So it's a different situation from the 2 weeks to the 2 months. For me, I think that's where because people hear this and they're like, "Y'all were dragging Eris and Clint last season for doing the same thing." It's not exactly the same.
It's a different story. He said we get this clip of him saying like, okay, so because she says, well, how do you feel with me saying I did that 2 months ago? And he's like, well, like it took it off the table for me hearing that. One could say that was edited out of place. Could have been.
My thought is that it was. I feel like in that frame where he said, when they told me I got a match, sex was off the table for me.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like that would flow in there. But it didn't sound.
But then what about her response? Because her response to him saying this was, all right. What's next? Because sex is done.
And that even could have just been like, okay, we talked about sex. What else can we talk about? It wasn't like, all right, sex is done, as in we're never having sex. And for him to be like, sex is off the table, I'd be like, what, forever or until a certain time? What do you mean sex is off the table? It just didn't make sense in the context of where they were in the conversation. So, but I don't know. But the meaning of what he was saying was definitely conveyed, right?
Yes.
He is big mad that she had sex 2 months ago, and he's going to hold it against her in a certain way. He's going to look at her differently because she had sex 2 months ago.
Yes. And the reaction on After Party.
They definitely gave, like, because it was Rudy, Claire, and Emily there with Orion, and they all three gave it to him with both barrels, and I was so happy they did. Like when the clip finished airing, all three of them started at him like immediately, like, how, like, why would you do that? Like, why would you say that?
Yes.
Why'd you come out your mouth and say that stupid stuff, Orion?
And then what did he said? He had a conversation with his sister.
Yeah. And she called him out for slut shaming Lauren, which is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Literally, the way his reaction was as she cheated on him. That's what I don't get.
Well, and it's the moment where he goes, I know my worth.
I'm just not going to hand myself out to anyone. So you're saying that she did that? Like, why? Yeah. Like, why do you feel like this moment right here is the time to say that?
Yeah, and that's what Rudy told him. Because he says, "Yeah, my sister told me that I slut shamed." Rudy's like, "You did. That's exactly what you did." Because to say that you're not just giving yourself to anybody implies that that's what she did. So it was such a frustrating thing for him to say.
Yes, and I think so in the Facebook group, I think Kathy Rodriguez put it in a really good way. She said, he really surprised me with his negative vibe, and it's like he's got a very stealth immaturity about him. Like at face value, he seems like a mature, responsible individual, but when he gets to talking, it's like 3 little kids standing on top of each other in a trench coat pretending to be a grown-up. I bust out laughing.
That was good. That was a good one.
Because I'm like, yes, it's moments like these that remind me that he's 27. And I'm not saying that 27 is I'm only 31. Okay. So I'm not saying like, oh, 27, you're 12. But it's like he like they said, like they forgot, even at the table, they were like, oh, I forgot he's 27, because he presents himself as so mature. And so you expect a mature response in situations like these. Like, hey, I'm telling you, like 2 months before this, when, we met 6 days ago. And then even before that, was only 2 weeks prior. Like, do you need a timeline? Because I don't understand your reaction. Do you need a moment in time? Do I need to write down the dates for you? Because your reaction right now makes zero sense because you're shaming her for not taking the same approach. It's like, because even Rudy said, what timeline, like what date would have been approved? Like, what would you have been fine with? He's like, there is none.
I don't know. I don't know. Like,
like
boy, you better come better correct than that.
Yeah, if she would have said 6 months, would he have been like, oh, well, you knew you wanted to apply to a Married at First Sight.
Yeah,
It
gives very self-righteous as well. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I value myself more than that. Boy, get out of here. I know my worth. You ain't worth nothing right now. Get out.
I just can't. I can't. It's so frustrating because it's just like, hey, I really want, it's like Orion really wants Lauren to feel safe and secure and feel like there's potential here, but not when you do things that I just don't like. Because it's just like,
that's against my very high moral value and standard.
Yeah, it's just like it's similar to Claire. It's just like if it's not exactly the way he wants it, anytime it's anything that is just kind of like, okay, rather than like, okay, let me hear that and receive that and then respond. It's like, ugh, I hate that. It's like, what is?
Yeah, that's why when she was talking about at the lunch, like you taught me grace and understanding. I'm like, where?
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of that.
Because we still haven't seen what we've seen in the previews of her bawling. I mean, well, I guess we did for next week. We get a preview of her bawling, them talking to Pastor Cal. Apparently there was a blow up. I wonder what sparks that. So that'll be very interesting to talk about next week.
And
but it's just not looking good.
So let's take our bets now. Is next episode the end for Orion and Lauren?
You know what I'm gonna say? I'm going to say I think it is, but I don't think it's going to be his call. I think it's going to be her call.
Interesting. Okay. Yes, I also think that they're going to end next week because I feel like all that we saw in that season preview is all we have seen. And there's nothing else after that. And I love Pastor Cal being in his car, taking the call like
he's staying in his car.
I was trying to golf again, and y'all with this nonsense.
He's like, I'm supposed to talk to y'all when y'all get back.
I had another 5 days where I had to come see y'all. I'm trying to get all my golfing in before I got to go down to freaking white ass Colorado. But no, y'all got me over here already. Y'all got me in your business and in your stuff. But yes, I do think they are over next week. We got her crying to Claire like we saw in the previews. We got this whatever setting they were in. I honestly, when we saw a season preview, I thought that was a setting back in Colorado, but apparently not. So
yeah, because she mentioned upstairs and after party, so I was like, whoa, their suite has a downstairs and an upstairs.
Their suite does have an upstairs and a downstairs.
Yeah, so because like what we saw was like the stairs in the scene, so that's why I thought it was back in Denver too.
Yeah,
but they're in the resort and it's not looking good, and I just feel like she may feel. Because what it seems like at this point is just like you always have an issue with something.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's just like no matter how sorry I am, no matter how much I try, it's never going to be enough for you. And we are a week into this marriage. There's no reason for me to be feeling like this constantly. She knows her worth, Orion.
Orion.
Like, come on. That was so cringy to hear. Of just shaming her for that. And I'm so glad his sister said that, because if his, like, especially for him to call his sister and say that in real time, right? Wouldn't you think that would change up his approach? Like, whoa, okay, that's reality.
Well, who knows if it's in real time in the honeymoon or if he called her later.
If he did it like after they broke up.
Yeah.
So she was like, wait, why aren't y'all together? Well, okay, there was this and this and this.
Yeah. So you're wrong. You're in the wrong, right? Like, oh, I was? No kidding.
He's like, dang it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's over for them next week. Unfortunately.
So unfortunate.
They had so much promise. Even though I was like, I thought the chemistry was off from the jump. But you know, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do a victory lap. I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna do a victory dance on this podcast next week if it's over. I wish they could have gotten together. I wish it would have worked, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what this new blow up is going to be about. And he's like, she says something happened that didn't happen. So like, oh, what is this going to be? So I'm very curious to see what that is.
Same. It's whatever it is, it's not going to be good. How are we going to move forward with 3 couples?
I mean, we gotta get Michael back in here.
They said, "Oh, Michael,
yeah.
hey,
we have hope."
We did not forget about you. We actually were just very curious if you wanted to join. We're down to 3 couples, and
we need more content.
Are making a show.
So we decided to give you a call.
We've never functioned with just 3. We're in a bit of a predicament.
I mean, we have, but that was back in the day.
Back in the day, back before was it 2-hour episodes back then? Because I mean, we're at 1.5. They could do it.
You think before the season started, like filming, they said, "Okay, back 2-hour episodes. We're gonna have 5 couples. we got more content to put in. 2-hour episodes are back." And then couples started dropping like flies. They're like, "Oh yeah, I guess you gotta go back to 90 minutes." So should we rate them?
Oh, I already wrote our ratings. Without us saying them, what are you rating them?
I mean, it gotta be a 1 at this point.
Yeah, I'm also a 1. There just looks like no hope. Even on this episode, that was supposed to look like the hope. Like, okay, they're able to resolve things. They're able to talk about things maturely and come to a resolution. But there's always going to be something.
Yep.
It feels like with him, there will be something. Sorry, I'm blaming him.
Yeah, I don't blame you for blaming him. I blame him too.
I don't blame you for not blaming me for blaming him. Oh gosh. Okay. Thank y'all for sticking with us. Those are all 5 couples, and we will be back next week to talk about
couples.
All 4 couples. We said Michael's name.
Oh, okay. You didn't put his picture up.
I X'd out that
You deleted Michael?
I did.
Oh no.
I don't even have it up anymore. I just have the couples. So yes, those are all 4 couples. We will be back next week to talk about episode 7. Make sure you go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed. The Rob Has a Podcast YouTube channel, and go join the Facebook group where the password this week is flyboarding. Jason, where can people find you?
On Twitter, you can find me at JAYR1085. As far as podcasts go, I got a couple other ones going on right now. You can check me out on post-show recaps, talk about Invincible with Gia Worthy. Having fun over there. You can also find me talking about The Gilded Age with Marissa Garza. Different show for me. I think some people that watch this show may have some crossover appeal with that show. So check me out over there as well. Also on post-show recaps with Marissa Garza, Gilded Age. Check it out.
Check it out. All right. Yeah. And I'll be here every week talking about Married at First Sight. So thank y'all so much for sticking with us, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.